The cold metal floor pressed against Hana's bare knees as she scrubbed the dining hall of Vorthen Station. Her hands moved in slow circles, cleaning the same spot over and over. She had learned that working too fast meant finishing early. Finishing early meant more work or worse punishments. 3 years. 3 long years since the raiders took her from the farming colony on Kepler 442b. 3 years since she last saw blue skies and green fields. 3 years since anyone called her by name instead of just pointing and saying you or girl or property. The dining hall buzzed with the voices of alien traders, smugglers, and station workers. They ate expensive food and drank strong liquor, while she cleaned around their feet. Some kicked at her when she got too close. Others ignored her completely, as if she was just another piece of cleaning equipment. Kovo's heavy footsteps echoed across the hall. Hana's shoulders tensed. She could always tell when her owner was coming. The Zelthian trader walked differently than others. His steps were harder, angrier. Each footfall sounded like a threat. "Get up!" Kovo's voice was deep and rough. "You move too slow. The buyers want to see you." Hana's stomach dropped. Not again. This would be the 4th time this month that Kovo had tried to sell her. Each time the buyers complained she looked too tired, too sad, too broken. Each time Kovo brought her back and punished her for not being pretty enough or happy enough to sell. She stood slowly, her legs stiff from kneeling. Kovo grabbed her arm with one of his 4 hands. His grip was tight enough to bruise. He dragged her through the station's narrow corridors toward the marketplace. The marketplace was the worst place on Vorthen Station. It sat in the center of the station, a huge open area with metal cages and platforms where people were bought and sold like animals. The smell hit Hana first. Unwashed bodies, fear and despair mixed together in the recycled air. Dozens of cages lined the walls. Each one held a different species. Humans were rare and expensive, so they got special treatment. Special treatment meant a slightly larger cage and slightly better food. It also meant higher prices and crueler buyers. Kovo shoved Hana toward the human section. She saw 2 other humans in nearby cages. One was a middle-aged woman named Sunja, who had been on the station longer than anyone could remember. The other was a young man called Tai Min, who stared at the floor and never spoke to anyone. "Stand straight," Kovo hissed. "Smile. Look happy. No buyer wants a sad slave." Hana tried to force her face into something that might look like a smile. Her lips felt frozen. Her eyes burned with tears she was not allowed to shed. Crying meant punishment. Punishment meant pain and less food. The first buyer was a thin alien with too many eyes. He looked at Hana like she was a piece of machinery he might purchase. His long fingers poked and prodded her arms and shoulders. He checked her teeth like she was a farm animal. "This one is damaged," the buyer said to Kovo. "See how her spirit is broken. No fire left. I need workers with energy." Kovo's face turned darker. "She is young and strong, good for many years of work. Too quiet. Too sad. I will pay half your asking price. No deal." Kovo waved the buyer away. Next. The second buyer was worse. He wanted Hana for entertainment purposes. His questions made her skin crawl. When Kovo named his price, the buyer laughed. "For a broken human? I can get fresher stock from the outer colonies." "She is trained and obedient," Kovo argued. "She is used up. Look at her eyes, dead inside." After the third buyer walked away, Kovo's anger finally exploded. His large hand struck Hana across the face. The blow sent her to her knees, on the marketplace floor. Her cheek burned and her ear rang. "Worthless," Kovo snarled. "Cannot even sell you to the worst buyers. Maybe I should just throw you out the airlock." Hana tasted blood in her mouth. She kept her head down and waited for more blows. They always came in groups. One hit meant 5 more were coming, but the next blow never came. "Excuse me." The voice was different, calm and steady, human. Hana looked up slowly. Standing near their platform was an old human man. His hair was gray and his face was lined with wrinkles, but his back was straight and his eyes were sharp. He wore simple work clothes and carried himself like someone who had seen many battles. "How much for the girl?" the old man asked Kovo. Kovo's mood changed instantly. A potential buyer was a potential buyer, even if he was human. "She is premium stock, young, trained, obedient, very expensive." The old man looked at Hana with kind eyes. She had forgotten what kind eyes looked like. When he looked at her, she did not feel like property. She felt like a person. "Name your price," the old man said. Kovo grinned, showing his sharp teeth. 50,000 credits, plus station taxes and transfer fees. It was an impossible amount. Even wealthy traders complained about prices that high. Hana felt her small spark of hope die. This kind old human would walk away like all the others. She would go back to the cage and wait for the next buyer or for Kovo to finally decide she was worth more dead than alive. The old man reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. He placed it on Kovo's sales counter. The device glowed with soft blue light. "Quantum core, military grade," the old man said quietly. "Fresh from a battleship. Worth about 500,000 on the black market." Kovo's eyes went wide. His 4 hands reached for the device, then stopped. "You are serious?" "Dead serious." The old man's voice was harder now, cold like space between stars. "Do we have a deal?" Kovo nodded quickly. Too quickly. His greed made him stupid. "Yes, yes, deal is made." The old man turned to Hana. His voice became gentle again. "What is your name, child?" "Hana," she whispered. It felt strange to say her own name after so long. "Hello, Hana. My name is Captain Deho. You are free now." The words hit her like physical blows. Free! She had forgotten what that word meant. She had given up believing it could ever apply to her again. But as Captain Deho helped her stand and led her away from the marketplace, Hana felt something she had not felt in 3 years. Hope. Behind them, Kovo was already examining his quantum core, counting his profits. He did not see the cold smile on Captain Deho's face. He did not notice how the old human's hand rested on something hidden under his jacket. He did not realize that his easy profit might cost him everything. Word. Count 1050 words. Captain Deho guided Hana through the twisting corridors of Vorthan Station. Her legs shook with each step. Freedom felt like a foreign concept, too big and strange for her mind to hold. She kept looking back, expecting Kovo to chase after them, expecting this moment to shatter like glass. "Where are we going?" Hana asked. Her voice came out as a whisper. "To my ship first," Deho said. "You need food and clean clothes. Then we handle the paperwork." Paperwork. Deho's jaw tightened. "Station rules. Even freed slaves need proper documentation to leave, but do not worry. We will figure it out." They walked past shops selling stolen goods and weapons. Alien faces watched them from doorways. Some looked curious. Others looked hungry, like predators sizing up prey. Hana moved closer to Captain Deho. Something about the old man felt safe, like standing near a strong wall during a storm. The docking bay was huge and noisy. Ships of every size and shape filled the metal cavern. Repair crews worked with sparks flying. Cargo loaders moved boxes and containers. The air smelled of fuel and hot metal. Captain Deho's ship sat in the corner, looking small and beaten compared to the sleek traders around it. The hull was scratched and dented. Burn marks showed where weapons had hit it. But the engines looked powerful, and the weapon systems were clearly military grade. "She is not pretty, but she flies fast and fights hard," Deho said with pride. "Just like her crew." A young man came down the loading ramp. He was human, maybe 25 years old, with kind eyes and grease-stained work clothes. When he saw Hana, his face went pale. "Captain, is she—" Jin Woo could not finish the sentence. "This is Hana," Daeho said gently. "She was a slave. Now she is free. Hana, meet Jin Woo, my engineer." Jin Woo's hands clenched into fists. "Those bastards! How many humans are still trapped on this station?" "We will find out," Daeho said. His voice carried a promise of action. Inside the ship, everything was clean and organized. The walls were painted white instead of the dark gray of most cargo ships. Pictures of Earth hung in the common room. Green forests, blue oceans, yellow sunshine. Hana had almost forgotten that such beauty existed. Jin Woo brought her food and clothes. Real food, not the paste and scraps she was used to. Hot soup with vegetables and meat. Fresh bread that smelled like heaven. Clean clothes that fit properly and did not smell of fear and sweat. "Eat slowly," Daeho warned. "Your stomach needs time to remember real food." Hana tried to eat carefully, but the food was so good that she could not help herself. She ate until her belly hurt, then ate a little more. Jin Woo watched with sad eyes. "How long were you—" Jin Woo started to ask, then stopped. "3 years," Hana said. "Since the raiders hit New Seoul Colony." Jin Woo slammed his hand on the table. "I heard about that attack. Command said there were no survivors." "No free survivors," Hana corrected. "But the raiders took anyone young and healthy. We brought good prices at the slave markets." Captain Daeho sat across from her. His weathered face was calm, but his eyes burned with cold fire. "How many others?" "From my colony? Maybe 20. But they spread us across different stations and planets. I do not know where the others went." Hana paused. "There are more humans here, though. Sunja has been here for 5 years. Taemin for 2. Maybe others I have not seen." "We will find them," Daeho promised. After Hana finished eating, they went to the station's administrative office. The building was tall and imposing, made of dark metal and glowing lights. Inside, alien bureaucrats sat behind desks, processing forms and collecting fees. Station Master Vex was a tall creature with purple skin and too many teeth. His office was filled with expensive art and furniture, all purchased with profits from slavery and crime. When Captain Daeho explained what they needed, Vex smiled coldly. "Freedom papers for a human slave," Vex said, tapping his long fingers on his desk. "Very expensive process, many forms to fill out, many fees to pay." "How much?" Daeho asked. "Processing fee is 10,000 credits. Rush fee is another 10,000. Security check is 5,000. Transit permit is 15,000. Vex's smile grew wider. "Total of 40,000 credits. "And how long does this process take?" "Oh, very long time. Maybe 6 months. Maybe longer if there are problems with the paperwork. Many things can go wrong." Hana felt her heart sink. 6 months was forever. In 6 months, anything could happen. Accidents, disappearances, slaves who caused trouble had short lifespans on Vorthon Station. "Of course," Vex continued, "if the freed slave cannot pay for food and housing during the waiting period, we have a work program. Very generous. The slave can work off their debts." "Work program?" Jin Woo asked. "Oh, yes. We provide housing and food in exchange for labor. Same quarters as before, same work assignments. Very convenient. Most freed slaves end up back in the program within a few days." It was a trap, a cruel system designed to give false hope before crushing it completely. Pay impossible fees or go back to slavery. Either way, the station made money. Captain Daeho stood slowly. His movement was calm and controlled, like a predator preparing to strike. "I see." "So sorry," Vex said, not sounding sorry at all. "But rules are rules. We cannot make exceptions." Outside the administrative building, Hana felt tears running down her face. I am sorry, she whispered. I should have known it was too good to be true. Do not apologize, Deho said firmly. This is not over. But the fees, the waiting time. Listen to me, Hana. Captain Deho took her shoulders gently. I have been fighting bullies for 60 years. I am not about to stop now. That night, back on the ship, Hana lay in a real bed with clean sheets. Through the thin walls, she could hear Captain Deho and Jinwoo talking in the next room. Captain, this is bigger than we thought, Jinwoo was saying. The whole system is designed to trap people. I know, Deho replied. That just makes it more important to tear it down. But there are only 2 of us, and they have security forces, weapons. Jinwoo, do you know what I did before I became a cargo hauler? You said you were military, but you never talked about it? There was a long pause. When Captain Deho spoke again, his voice was different, harder, like steel being forged in fire. I was not just military. I was Earth Defense Force, Special Operations. I fought in the Centauri Rebellion when the hegemony tried to enslave human colonies. We taught them that humans do not bow to anyone. Another pause. Get some rest, Jinwoo. Tomorrow we start a war. Hana pulled her blanket tighter and stared at the ceiling. For the first time in 3 years, she fell asleep without crying. But she dreamed of Earth and of blue skies she might never see again. Word count. 1,050 words. Captain Deho woke before dawn, as he had every day for 40 years. Old habits from his military days never died. He found Hana sitting in the ship's common room, staring at pictures of Earth on the wall. Could not sleep? He asked gently. I keep thinking this is a dream, Hana said, that I will wake up back in the cage. This is real, Deho promised, and today we make sure no human ever wakes up in a cage on this station again. Jinwoo joined, them with hot coffee and a worried expression. Captain, I ran scans all night. The security systems on this station are military grade. Commander Rask has at least 50 armed guards. How many humans are enslaved here? Deho asked. I found 12 in the official records, but there might be more in the unofficial markets. Deho nodded slowly. 12 souls counting on us. That is enough. After breakfast, they began their mission. Captain Deho had Hana guide them through the station's service tunnels. She knew every hidden passage from her years of cleaning and maintenance work. They moved like shadows through the metal corridors. Their first stop was the engine room where Sunja worked. The older woman was alone, replacing burnt circuits in a power coupling. When she saw them, her eyes went wide with fear. Hana? What are you doing here? If they catch you outside the slave quarters? I am free, Hana said simply. Captain Deho bought me and set me free. Sunja looked at the old human captain with suspicion. Free? There is no such thing as free on this station. There is now, Deho said firmly. How long have you been here? 5 years. I was an engineer on a transport ship. Pirates killed the crew and sold me here. Sunja's voice was bitter. I have seen humans try to escape before. They all end up dead or worse. I am not trying to escape, Deho said. I am trying to win. Something in his voice made Sunja stop working and really look at him. She saw the scars on his hands, the way he stood like a soldier, the cold intelligence in his old eyes. You are military, she said. It was not a question. Earth Defense Force. Special Operations. I fought in wars you probably never heard of. Deho knelt beside her. Sunja, I need your help. Can you access the station's communication systems? Why? Because every human on this station needs to know that help is coming. Sunja was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. The main communication hub is 3 levels up, but it is heavily guarded. Leave the guards to me, Deho said. "Can you slice the system?" "In my sleep." "But, Captain, even if you free everyone, where will we go? This station is in the middle of nowhere." "One problem at a time," Deho said. "First, we gather everyone. Then we get them to my ship. Then we fight our way out." They spent the morning moving through the station. Jinwoo worked on the ship, preparing weapon systems that had been dormant for years. Hana and Sunja used the maintenance tunnels to contact other enslaved humans. Taemin was the hardest to convince. The young man had been broken by 2 years of slavery. He shook his head when they found him scrubbing floors in the detention center. "It is impossible," he whispered. "They will kill us all. Better to stay alive as slaves than die as free men." "Is that living?" Hana asked gently. "Or is that just surviving? What is the difference? Living means making choices. Surviving means having choices made for you." Hana touched his shoulder. "I survived for 3 years, but I only started living again yesterday." That afternoon, Commander Rask finally noticed something was wrong. Security reports mentioned humans moving through restricted areas. Maintenance schedules were being ignored. Slaves were not showing up for their assigned work. Rask was a professional soldier from a warrior species. He had fought in a dozen wars across the galaxy, but he had never fought humans before. He thought they were soft, weak creatures who broke easily under pressure. He was about to learn how wrong he was. Rask found Captain Deho in the station's central plaza, sitting on a bench and feeding scraps to the maintenance droids. The old human looked harmless, like someone's grandfather taking a rest. "You are the one causing trouble," Rask said, his hand on his weapon. "I am the one stopping trouble," Deho replied calmly. "You purchased a slave, and now you think you can disrupt our entire operation?" "I purchased a person, and now I am freeing 11 more," Rask laughed. It was a harsh sound like metal scraping metal. "Old human, you do not understand where you are. This is not your soft Earth colony. This is Vorthen Station. Here the strong take what they want and the weak serve or die." Captain Deho stood up slowly. When he moved, Rask suddenly realized the old man was not frail at all. His muscles were like steel cables. His stance was perfect military posture. His eyes held the cold fire of someone who had killed many enemies and slept well afterward. "Commander," Deho said quietly, "you have 3 choices. Release every human on this station immediately. Face me in single combat. Or deal with what happens when Earth Command learns that one of their decorated veterans went missing here." "Earth Command?" Rask snorted. "They are months away. By the time they arrive, you will be space dust." "Maybe. But are you willing to bet your life on it?" Other aliens had gathered to watch. Word spread quickly through the station that the old human was challenging Commander Rask. Most expected it to be over quickly. Humans were known to be weak fighters compared to most alien species. Rask drew his weapon, a curved blade as long as his arm. "I choose combat, old man. When I kill you, your precious freed slaves will learn what happens to troublemakers." Captain Deho smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator who had been waiting patiently for prey to come close enough. "Commander," he said softly, "you just made the last mistake of your life." The fight lasted exactly 37 seconds. When it was over, Commander Rask lay dead on the plaza floor. Captain Deho stood over him, not even breathing hard. The curved blade was in the old human's hand now. The watching crowd was dead silent. "Anyone else want to discuss terms?" Deho asked politely. No one answered. "Word count, 1,050 words. Word of Commander Rask's death spread through Vorthen Station like fire through dry grass." In the slave quarters, humans whispered the news with growing hope. In the command centers, alien security forces prepared for war. In the merchant halls, traders calculated profits and losses. Soonja had managed to slice into the communication system just as Captain Dae-ho requested. Her fingers flew across the control panels in the engineering section, bypassing security locks that had taken her months to study. "I am in," she told Hana through their hidden communication devices, "broadcasting on all frequencies." Across the station, every screen and speaker crackled to life. Captain Dae-ho's voice echoed through corridors and chambers, reaching every corner of Vorthan Station. "My name is Captain Dae-ho, Earth Defense Force, Special Operations Division. I am speaking to every human on this station. You are not alone anymore. You are not forgotten. In 1 hour, anyone who wants freedom should come to Docking Bay 7. Bring nothing except your courage. Anyone who tries to stop you will answer to me." The message repeated 3 times. Then the screens went dark. In the luxury suites at the top of the station, Merchant Lord Zephyr received the news with cold fury. He was the real power behind Vorthan Station, a creature who had built an empire on suffering and slavery. His personal fleet included 12 warships and 300 private soldiers. "One old human," he hissed to his lieutenant. "One pathetic. Old human thinks he can challenge me." "Sir, he did kill Commander Rask," the lieutenant said nervously. "Rask was weak. I am not." Zephyr's multiple eyes glowed with anger. "Send word to all security teams. Kill the old human. Capture the others alive. We will make examples of them." In the slave quarters, Taemin sat in his tiny cell and listened to the announcement with a heart full of fear. Freedom sounded wonderful, but he had learned not to hope. Hope led to disappointment. Disappointment led to punishment. Better to stay safe and alive, but Hana found him anyway. "You heard the message," she said through the bars of his cell. "I heard a death sentence," Taemin replied. "They will kill us all." "Maybe." "But Taemin, what if they do not? What if this is our one chance? I have been here 2 years. I have seen what happens to slaves who cause trouble." Hana knelt beside his cell. "I was here 3 years. I know the fear. I lived with it every day. But yesterday, an old man with kind eyes told me I was free. And for the first time in 3 years, I remembered what it felt like to be human. What if he is wrong? What if this is just another cruel game? Then we die as free people instead of living as property." Hana reached through the bars and took his hand. "Taemin, when did you last make a choice? A real choice about your own life?" Taemin was quiet for a long time. "I cannot remember." "Then make one now. Choose to try." Across the station, other conversations were happening. Soonja convinced 2 human engineers to join them. A maintenance worker named Boram decided to risk everything for freedom. One by one, the enslaved humans of Vorthan Station began moving toward Docking Bay 7. But Merchant Lord Zephyr was moving too. His private army surrounded the docking bay with weapons ready. Transport ships blocked the exits. Security drones filled the air like metal insects. Captain Dae-ho reached the docking bay first. Jin-woo was waiting with their ship, engines running and weapons charged. The young engineer looked terrified but determined. "Captain, they have us surrounded," Jin-woo reported. "I count at least 200 soldiers plus support vehicles and air support." "Good," Dae-ho said calmly. "That means they are taking us seriously." The humans began arriving in small groups. Soonja came first, bringing 2 other engineers with her. Then Boram appeared with a family of 3 humans he had found hidden in the waste processing center. Finally, Hana arrived with Taemin, who looked like he might run away at any moment. 12, Jin-woo counted. "That is all of them?" "That is enough," Captain Dae-ho said. He turned to address the group. "My friends, I will not lie to you. The next few minutes will be dangerous. Some of us might not survive. But I promise you this. We will not surrender. We will not go back to cages. We will not let fear make our choices anymore." Taemin stepped forward. his voice shaking but clear. "Captain, I am scared, but I would rather die free than live as a slave." The others nodded in agreement. Even the youngest, a girl barely 16 years old, stood straighter and lifted her chin with determination. Outside the docking bay, Merchant Lord Zephyr's voice boomed through loudspeakers. "Humans, you are surrounded. Surrender now and I will. Be merciful. Continue this foolishness, and you will all die slowly." Captain Deho walked to the bay doors and activated the external communication system. His voice carried across the entire docking area. "Zephyr, my name is Captain Deho. I'm 63 years old. I have fought in 7 wars and killed more enemies than I can count. I have seen planets burn and watched empires fall. But I have never, not once, surrendered to a bully." He paused, letting his words sink in. "You want these people? Come and take them." Zephyr's response was immediate and violent. Energy weapons began firing from every direction. The docking bay filled with smoke and sparks as laser beams struck metal walls. But Captain Deho had not survived 7 wars by standing in the open. He had prepared for this moment. Jinwoo activated the ship's defensive systems. Energy shields flickered to life around the docking bay. Hidden weapons systems, installed years ago during Deho's military service, emerged from concealment. Soonja had done more than just send messages. She had been busy with the station's power grid, the life support systems, and the artificial gravity generators. The lights went out. Emergency systems failed. Gravity fluctuated wildly. In the darkness and chaos, Captain Deho's voice rang out one more time. "Zephyr, you wanted to see what happens when you corner desperate humans? You are about to learn why the galaxy fears us. The real battle was about to begin." Word count: 1,050 words. The battle for Docking Bay 7 began in darkness and chaos. Soonja's sabotage had crippled the station's main systems, but Merchant Lord Zephyr's forces had backup power and military-grade equipment. Red emergency lights cast eerie shadows. As the first wave of soldiers advanced, Captain Deho moved like a ghost through the smoke and sparks. His years of military training took over, and the old soldier became young again. He struck from the shadows, using the station's own structure as cover and weapon. Jinwoo had transformed their cargo ship into a fortress. Hidden weapon ports opened along the hull, revealing military-grade cannons that had been disguised as cargo containers. The ship's shields deflected incoming fire while its guns cut through enemy ranks. "Stay close to the ship," Deho called to the freed humans. "Jinwoo will protect you," but even as he spoke, Captain Deho knew they were outnumbered and outgunned. Zephyr had brought an army. They had 1 old soldier, 1 young engineer, and 12 frightened people who had forgotten how to fight. The first assault lasted 10 minutes. When it ended, 20 of Zephyr's soldiers lay dead or wounded, but more were coming. Always more. "Captain," Jinwoo's voice crackled through the communication system. "I am reading multiple ships approaching. Looks like Zephyr called in his fleet." Through the docking bay's transparent aluminum windows, they could see warships moving into position. Sleek predator vessels with enough firepower to crack the station in half. Hana crouched behind a cargo container, helping treat wounded among their small group. Boram had taken shrapnel in his leg. One of the engineers had burns from a near miss with an energy weapon. But they were all still alive, still fighting. "We cannot win," Taemin said, his voice hollow with fear. "There are too many of them." "Winning is not the point," Soonja replied, working frantically on a portable computer. "The point is not giving up." "What are you doing?" Hana asked, sending a message. "Long range, maximum power." Soonja's fingers flew over the controls. "If we are going to die, Earth Command needs to know what happened here." Captain Deho reloaded his weapon and checked his ammunition. He was down to his last few charges. Around him, the metal walls were pocked with blast marks and holes. The air smelled of ozone and burnt electronics. "Jinwoo, how much power do we have left?" "Shields are down to 30%. Weapons are overheating. We might have one more big fight in us, but that is all. Outside, Zephyr's voice boomed through speakers. Old human, you have fought well. I respect that. Surrender now and I will give you a clean death. Your people can return to their cages unharmed. Captain Day-Ho walked to the bay doors. His uniform was torn and bloody, but his back was still. Straight. His voice carried clearly across the battlefield. Zephyr, I have a counteroffer. You can surrender to me, release every slave on this station, and maybe I will let you live long enough to see a prison cell. Laughter echoed from the enemy forces. The idea of one old human making demands against an army seemed ridiculous. But then Soonja's computer chimed with an incoming message. Captain, she called out, her voice filled with sudden hope. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple contacts, big ones, moving fast. Jin Woo confirmed the readings. I count 12 ships dropping out of hyperspace, configuration unknown, on D. The tactical display, new contacts, appeared like stars being born. Large vessels moving in perfect formation, heading straight for Vorthon Station. Zephyr had seen them too. His confident voice now carried a note of uncertainty. Unknown ships, identify yourselves. You are entering restricted space. The response came on all frequencies, broadcast so loudly that every person on the station could hear it. This is Captain Ye-Jin, Earth Defense Force 3rd Fleet. You have exactly 10 seconds to stand down and release all human prisoners before we demonstrate why the galaxy learned to fear human warships. The docking bay fell silent except for the hum of ship engines and the crackle of damaged electronics. Everyone, human and alien alike, stared at the tactical displays showing the approaching fleet. Impossible, Zephyr whispered. Earth Command is months away. But Captain Day-Ho was smiling, not the cold predator smile from before. This was genuine joy and relief. Jin Woo, what did I tell you about underestimating human determination? Sir, Soonja's message was not the first one sent from this station. I have been broadcasting our location and situation since yesterday. It just took time for the cavalry to arrive. The Earth Defense Force fleet moved into attack formation. 12 heavy cruisers, each one capable of reducing Vorthon Station to scrap metal. Their weapons were charging, their shields were up, and their crews were angry. Captain Ye-Jin's voice cut through space like a blade. Merchant Lord Zephyr, you are charged with crimes against humanity, including kidnapping, slavery, and murder. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. Zephyr's response was to order his forces to attack the docking bay one final time. If he was going down, he would take the freed humans with him. But the final assault never reached its target. Earth Defense Force fighters swarmed through the docking bay, their precise fire cutting down Zephyr's soldiers without harming any of the freed humans. Marine assault teams breached the station's hull in a dozen places simultaneously. The battle was over in minutes. When the smoke cleared, Captain Ye-Jin herself walked into Docking Bay 7. She was a small woman with steel in her eyes and the bearing of someone who had earned her command through blood and courage. She found Captain Day-Ho sitting on a cargo container, bandaging a cut on his arm. Around him, 12 freed humans were helping treat the wounded and secure the area. Captain Day-Ho, she said formally, Earth Command has been looking for you. Captain Ye-Jin, he replied with equal formality. I have been busy. She looked around the battle-scarred docking bay at the freed humans working together at the destroyed enemy equipment. I can see that. Care to explain how one old cargo hauler managed to start a war? Day-Ho stood and saluted. Ma'am, sometimes the war starts itself. Sometimes you just have to choose which side you are on. Captain Ye-Jin returned the salute, then smiled. Well chosen, soldier. Well chosen. 3 weeks after the Battle of Vorthon Station, Hana stood in the medical bay of Earth Command Outpost Delta, watching through the viewport as ships came and went. Each vessel brought more rescued humans from other slave markets across the galaxy. The liberation of Vorthon had started something bigger than anyone expected. Dr. Minho finished his examination and made notes on his tablet. Physically, You are healing well. The malnutrition damage will take time to fully repair, but you are strong. How are you sleeping? Better, Hana said honestly. The nightmares are less frequent. That is normal. Recovery from trauma takes time. Your mind needs to learn that you are safe now. Safe. The word still felt strange to Hana. Safety was not something she had expected to feel again. But here, surrounded by human faces and protected by human ships, she was beginning to believe it might be possible. Admiral Su-jin had debriefed all the rescued humans individually. She was a stern woman with gray hair and kind eyes who listened carefully to every story. When it was Hana's turn, she spoke about her 3 years of slavery, about Sunja's quiet courage, about Taimin's struggle with fear. "What do you want to do now?" the admiral had asked. It was such a simple question, but Hana had stared at her for a full minute before answering. She had forgotten that she could want things, that her desires mattered. "I want to learn to fly," she had said finally. "I want to help rescue others like me." Now, 3 weeks later, she was beginning pilot training. Her instructor was a patient woman named Commander Hye-jin, who had fought in the Centauri Rebellion alongside Captain Dae-ho. "Flying is about freedom," Commander Hye-jin explained during their first lesson. "When you are at the controls of a ship, you choose where to go and how to get there. No one else makes those choices for you." The other rescued humans were making their own choices. Sunja had joined Earth Command's engineering corps, using her skills to design better rescue ships. Taimin had surprised everyone by asking to study agriculture. He wanted to grow things instead of being treated like property. "Plants respond to care," he had explained to Hana. "They grow strong when you treat them well. I want to learn how to make things flourish instead of just survive." Boram chose to become a counselor, helping other freed slaves adjust to their new lives. The family they had rescued from waste processing decided to return to farming, but on a protected human colony where they would never fear raiders again. Every choice was different. Every path was personal. That was what freedom meant. Captain Dae-ho was preparing for his next mission. His ship, now officially commissioned as EDF Liberator, had been upgraded with better weapons and shields. But more importantly, it had been given a crew of volunteers who shared his mission. Jin Woo had been promoted to chief engineer and given a team of technical specialists. Sunja's replacement aboard Liberator was a former slave named Kyung-ho, who understood both engineering and the systems that kept slavery profitable. "Captain," Hana said, finding Dae-ho in the ship's workshop where he was cleaning his weapons. "I want to join your crew." He looked up from his rifle, studying her carefully. "You have been through enough, Hana. You deserve peace." "I have been through slavery. That taught me what happens when good people do nothing." She sat across from him. "You taught me that freedom means choosing your own battles. This is mine. It will be dangerous. We are not just rescuing individuals anymore. Intelligence reports suggest a galaxy-wide slave trading network. Powerful people who will fight to protect their profits. Then they will learn what you taught, Zephyr, that humans do not surrender to bullies." Captain Dae-ho smiled and set down his rifle. "What kind of position are you looking for?" "Pilot and rescue specialist. I know how slaves think, how they hide, how they survive. That knowledge can save lives. And if we find the raiders who took you from New Sol Colony," Hana's voice was steady, "then they will face justice." That afternoon, Admiral Su-jin held a ceremony in the main hangar bay. Dozens of rescued humans were receiving new citizenship papers and assignment orders. Some were staying on Earth Command bases for further treatment. Others were returning to civilian life on protected colonies. Still others were joining various military and civilian services. But the most important part of the ceremony was the commissioning of 12 new rescue ships. Each one was crewed by volunteers, many of them former slaves who had chosen to dedicate their lives to freeing others. 3 weeks ago, one old soldier decided that slavery was unacceptable, Admiral Su-jin said to the assembled crowd. His actions on Vorthan Station have grown into something larger. Today we launch Operation Free Choice, a galaxy-wide effort to end slavery wherever we find it. She gestured to the ships lined up in the hangar. Each one bore the name of someone who had died fighting for freedom. Liberator sat among them, freshly painted and ready for action. These ships and their crews will carry a simple message across the galaxy. Humans do not abandon their own. We do not accept injustice. We do not bow to those who would make others property. Captain Deho stepped forward and saluted. Admiral, Liberator and her crew request permission to launch. Permission granted, Captain. Bring our people home. As the ships prepared to depart, Hana took her position at Liberator's pilot station. Through the cockpit window, she could see the stars waiting beyond Earth Command's protective shields. Somewhere out there, humans were still suffering in cages, still hoping for rescue, still dreaming of freedom. All stations ready, Captain, Jinwoo reported from engineering. Course laid in? Hana confirmed from the pilot's seat. Captain Deho settled into his command chair and looked around at his crew. Former slaves who had chosen to become liberators, young idealists and old soldiers united by a simple belief that freedom was worth fighting for. Take us out, Pilot Hana. Let us go find our people. As Liberator cleared the station and jumped to hyperspace, its message echoed across subspace channels, reaching every corner of the galaxy where humans might be listening. This is Captain Deho of the Earth Defense Force ship Liberator. If you are human and you are not free, we are coming. For you. If you are not human and you traffic in slaves, we are coming for you too. The message repeated endlessly, carried by relay stations and sympathetic traders, whispered in slave quarters and shouted in free colonies. The age of slavery was ending. The age of human determination had begun.